Welcome to Empower You Crown Up podcast. Today we have our special guest on, Mr. Juan Lee. We're so excited to have him. He is going to be telling us about everything that he does so amazing. Empower You Crown Up is where we believe in empowering minds to live empowered lives. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Juan Lee. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're so excited to have you on here. As you know, we love to talk about the empowerment of others and just give you a chance to talk about your business and spotlight what it is that you do. So, and before we get into everything, tell us about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I'm the founder of Clear Journey, which is a nonprofit that basically supports individuals that are seeking answers to challenges in life. We provide education and resources, connections, so to speak, to every area in your life that needs some assistance in. And we really tout ourselves in being the one-stop shop for your life's challenges. We want
Oh,
you to help. We want to help you navigate life successfully, and if we can help you prepare to navigate, it's great. But even if you're in the journey, we want to be able to help you navigate it either way, whether you're in the beginning, the middle, or later on in your journey.
I love that. So that speaks to the name. How did you come up with that name?
Well, it was basically it was my journey. It was as a young person, young man, looking for directions. I was like 17 years old, graduated from high school, and it was like felt hopeless. Just felt like I didn't have any directions. I mean, life has no blueprint.
It
And
does
it's
not.
like, what am I supposed to do now? I mean, I graduated from high school, didn't feel prepared for life,
Mm.
and I went into the military, and it was in the military that I began to get a little bit clarity on what this thing called life is all about. And it was in that process I was like, oh, I needed the clear journey. I needed someone to give me some directions, um, and it set me on a path. That path is I'm still on it to this day, in the sense of being able to understand purpose, understand what my purpose is, who I am, and what I have to offer, and being a part of something bigger than myself.
Yes. And I love how you said it because we live in a world where so many people are so selfish, they're so self-centered. And knowing that you will wake up with purpose and vision if you know that life is so much bigger than you. It's bigger than you. Just like when we're going through different journeys and testimonies and things are happening in our lives, we realize that it's just a testimony for us to share with someone else when they are going through. But we don't see it when we're going through the storm. We're like, Lord.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, it's understanding. I mean, where I got my clarity is understanding that this journey is temporary.
Mhm.
This is a temporary journey that we're on, and it's in the military. We call it a TDY. It's a temporary duty assignment,
Right.
and it's basically okay. You're going there to accomplish a mission, and that mission in this life journey is an investment into the next generation. It's about
Mhm.
giving, not necessarily receiving.
Mhm.
My fulfillment comes in being able to give my best to someone else,
Mhm.
because that's the only way that it sustains this body that I'm in, is to give it to someone else to carry it on.
That's
And
right.
so I'm my daily journey is just to pick it up and give it away.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give as much as I have every day to someone that needs it. You know,
Hmm.
that's the journey. Hey, if I can give it to someone, that makes it that much more valuable in the next generation, to the next generation, because I'm not going to always be here. It's a temporary assignment. I got to give it to somebody else.
That's so true. And what branch of the military were you in?
Air Force.
Air Force, yes. I should have did Air Force. I was in the Army. I was like, oh man. I was like, I don't do this. I used to tell people all the time, I don't sleep with animals. And people were like, why you didn't like the Army? I was like, this getting on the ground. This is not me.
I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you.
I
I'm
probably
sorry
would have
for you.
lasted if I would have did Air Force.
You know what? I was in it for 9 years, and it was a pivotal point in my life. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was ready to do 20. And what happened was, is right after the first Gulf War, I was there in the first Gulf War, and we had a big force then, and they was trying to reduce the force, and they was like, okay, you can go if you want to go, and I was like, you offer, and the thing about it is, they had a special program that was for people they wanted to get out, that was in this window, because it was during this window that all these people came into the military, and I was in that window, and I met that window by 30 days.
Mm.
I was the last 30 days that met that window, and they paid us to get out.
Wow.
They paid us to get out. And I was like, hmm.
Better take that.
Yeah, because they were, to be honest with you, they were using it as a ploy, so to speak, as an incentive, but also telling you we're changing the force.
Mm.
And if you don't, in other words, the standard is getting ready to go up a little bit. We're going to raise the bar. And if you don't meet the bar and you don't take this doggone buyout, we're
Mm.
gonna kick you out.
Oh man.
Oh, so it was like, I ain't leaving with nothing.
That's right.
I ain't leaving with nothing. And I never forget though, my commander, I had put in the paperwork, and it was the last minute thing. It was like and it went across his desk because he had to sign it after it was all done. I mean, everybody had been doing it. And I said, I still qualify. And he said, sent my stuff across his paper. And he came to me directly. He says, this is not for you.
Mm.
I don't want you to go. And at that point, he was like, you ain't what we talking about trying to move out. And see, this is the first time I'm hearing anything about this, right? All my stuff packed up and ready to go. And then he gonna come to me and tell me that this was this was not for you. It's too late now. I already made plans to go.
Hey,
And
like they
so
say,
I'm
once you
gone.
make up your mind, ain't no changing that.
Well, I mean, he was in a position that he could have pulled me back and said, if I said I wanted to stay, he'd be like, okay, we, because he had to sign it for me to go.
Right.
But at that point, I was telling everybody, I'm out of here, I'm done. And then I'm going back and tell me I'm staying. Nah, that ain't happening. No.
Oh goodness, that's interesting. That's funny. But see, our life experiences, they equip us and prepare us for the next part of the journey. And
Mhm.
just hearing you say that, I know you say you're an author. I have a book that just came out called Listen Up, and that's where it was kind of founded off of needing direction. Because when we get into this world, like you said, we don't have a blueprint. So we're just out here trying to figure some things out, and then you realize, man, everything I thought I knew, I do not know. And so, yeah, I love how you said that. So tell us about you and being an author and a speaker and what that journey has been like.
Well, it's been a new thing for me, because that's something that I did post my other career, because I've done a lot of things in my life, of which I've combined a lot of those things into the nonprofit in the areas in which we talk about. But my book is called Love Made Simple. It's the guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And that's basically the foundation of the nonprofit, because love has been something that has been so abstract, and it's been made out to be so confusing in the sense of how we apply it, how we use it, and how it's implied in our lives. And what I wanted to do is to make it simple, because it has purpose, and I wanted to be able to share that from my perspective, as it relates to how do we make love practical in a way in which we can use it in our everyday life. And that was what the foundation of the nonprofit Clear Journey is about: making love practical. It's about 8 areas of life where we really begin to show how we get the attitudes of love and implement them into our everyday lives.
Mm,
And
I
it's a
love
no, it's a
that.
it's a winner every time. When we put the attitudes of love into our daily lives, we win every time. In the scriptures, it talks about love never fails.
Mm.
These are the attitudes we need to not fail in
And it
life.
doesn't keep a record of your wrongs.
It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about how do we move and be successful. And you said it a little bit earlier ago. We have to get outside of ourselves.
Yes,
Get outside of ourselves, and those attitudes allow us to get outside of ourselves, because they're not selfish.
right. You're
They're
right.
not selfish. They're selfless. And when we're able to do that, we can see things that we otherwise would not be able to see because we're blinded by our selfishness.
That's
You
right.
said it.
And as a mental health therapist, I talk to so many clients and mostly a lot of women. And that's one of the things they talk about is like when they first got into their relationship, it's like, okay, we're going through the motions of love, love, love. But then when things happen and they keep happening, then you got to start paying attention to the action. And that's what really gets people to a space of, man, like, I've been giving my all, but I don't feel like this other person that I've made a vow to has been giving my all. And it's hurtful. But I love how you said it's about knowing if you are daily implementing those actions or basically wanting to be loved, showing love the way you want to be shown love or should want to be shown love, then you should be good and we can have a relationship that
Well,
lasts.
it there's a combination. There's a combination, and that's something that I've had to learn. I've been married 27 years now, coming up on
Yeah,
27
that's a
years.
blessing.
And you have to understand that everybody doesn't have the same love language.
They don't. And it
And
changes
so
too.
and yeah, and the thing about it is in the process of doing that, you've got to be able to understand that yours might not be the same as the other person's, and the other person's not a. So it's not as much as you. First, you got to learn your own,
Right.
and then you got to understand someone else's.
Yes.
And so that's where it begins to be a little bit tricky
And I think
because
that's the
it's
piece that's missing is understanding everyone is not like you. So just because you might like gifts, that don't mean you buy your your partner everybody gifts. Because just because you like it, that don't mean they like it.
absolutely. And again, that's something that the two have to understand. And the thing about it is that, you know, as we talk about relationships in that regard, that's where it's very different than just administering it from one's own perspective. Because I tell you, before I got married, it was like I didn't realize that love was going to change because it really it's when it's all about you
Hmm.
and how you project, it's almost like being self-aware and how you show up.
Right.
Now it's not only how you show up, but it's how you show up with a specific person and understanding how they show up.
Right.
And so it's now a little bit different, because it's no longer all about you, it's about someone else.
That's right. That's right. Yes. And you made me think about education too. I do a lot of work inside of the schools, and that's one of the things that I'm so big on when I'm training teachers. You have to build the relationships. The kids have to know that you care. Because if you don't, and so many are in that mindset of, no, this is how it was taught to me, or you're gonna come in and sit down. And it just doesn't work that way.
If we haven't learned anything, I mean, the new generation, you've got to reach them before you can teach them.
Right.
And and it takes a lot of work to be able to reach them, that you might not even get to the point of being able to teach them, because it takes, you know, the process of just, look, I'm a product of the public school system, and they move me right through the system, um, regardless as to what my needs were.
Hmm.
They labeled me. I was in special education. They labeled me and they pushed me through. I
Right.
never realized what my potential was, what my skills were, what my abilities were,
Right.
because all I knew was that I didn't measure up to what the norm was.
Right.
And they didn't care to find out what my who I was, what I had to offer, what I brought to the table. They just measured me based on someone else and said, I'm going to put you on this track that doesn't measure up and leave you there.
Right.
And what has happened when you find that's the case in many cases, whether it's in special education or just in the educational system in general, is that the children never find themselves.
That's right.
They are measured by what the system has put in place. That's not necessarily where they are or who they are. And in many cases, in some cases, if they exceed it, it's not even appreciated. Less more if you don't meet it, so it's a very difficult thing, and I admire the teachers that are trying to navigate this space,
Yes.
because it is a tremendous, I mean, there you have so many obstacles as teachers, I mean, I had an interview with a teacher. She's a retired Air Force veteran, and now she's teaching in a school. And basically, she's in the sense of making. She has to. The children love her. They love her in the sense that they want her to be with them at after school events. And it's to the point where I was like, how can you do it? Because they've got to, she's overcoming parental, she's taking on parental responsibility
Oh, wow.
at this age, and she knows it.
That's
And it's like, okay, now how does the curriculum fit into this? Because now she has a responsibility, and she's basically coming to the conclusion that she can't teach
that's
because
right.
of the requirements that the curriculum is requiring her to
That's
do,
right.
in spite of the fact that she's having to be a guardian and really get the kids to appreciate and love her, and to understand them. And there's not enough time in the day.
It's not. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I had to leave. It was just too much. Like I got to the point where I love what I was teaching. I love teaching math. But it's just so much, and it would be so much on you as far as they say when we come in at, let's say, you're supposed to teach proportions and you're not teaching it. Let's say you're teaching how to multiply and the basics because you're telling them, hey, I tried to teach it, but they didn't understand the basics, so we have to go back. And they're like, well, why are you not teaching, proportions? Because we can't get there. We have to meet the kids where they are to get them here.
And that's just a part of the system, because now you're judged on what you basically teaching them based on what the requirements are that you're supposed to teach them, irrespective of the child's unable to or not prepared to be able to receive that.
Yes, yes.
And yet, and see, this is where the special education fell into the place with me, because
Right.
they just put me in there, and then instead of trying to teach me what my skills are, what
That's
my
right.
attributes are, they measured me against their standard and said I didn't meet it, and just pushed me through the system.
Mm. And how many more students are out there like that? Millions.
Yeah, I mean, because I guess we have a standard that precedes the development of the child.
Right.
Because everybody ain't gonna be a doctor, everybody's not gonna be a lawyer, everybody's not gonna. But guess what? I can be the best plumber. I can be the best
That's
doggone
right.
carpenter. I can be the best mailman. I can be the best. I can be the best at what I have abilities to do. And
Yeah.
that was what I learned.
That's right. But no one can see that unless they're pushing you to dig deep and say, what is it that you are good at?
And that's where the military was good for me,
Yes.
because the military told me that I was somebody, I had
Mm.
something to offer, and it was important, and it was sufficient.
That's right.
And it was at that point, guess what? I was a part of something bigger than myself. And I found my part, my place where I hooked up,
Yes.
and we were all successful.
I love it. I love it. It's once you find yourself, and that goes into finding your passion. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing something you're not passionate about, it shows. I can't tell you how many times I done went to a webinar or went to someone's event and they're just like, da, da. I'm like, hey, do you do you even like what you're saying? Do you like what
Mhm.
you're doing? Because it shows. When you are passionate about something, it truly, truly shows. So tell us a little bit more about Clear Journey and how can our listeners connect with you?
Hey, Clear Journey is out here to assist you on your journey in life. In every area of life, we have 8 areas that we talk about. We talk about relationships, we talk about health, we talk about finances, we talk about self-improvement, we talk about organization, we talk about health, recreation, and relaxation, because there's a balance that we need,
Yes.
and we talk about humanity. We talk about where we fit into this existence that we talk about. That's basically where love is universal, where we
Mm,
begin to talk about, I need you and you need me, and together we are all successful together. And
mm,
that's where the holistic approach of it all is. But it's these areas that we talk about. There's not one of those things that we just said, that I just said, that at some point in time in your life, you're going to need it. You're going to be exposed to it. Your relationships, your health issues, your finances, your career. That
mm,
was the other one that I needed. Your career. Everybody has to be in line with what you were saying about that passion as it relates to your career.
mhm.
It's not just, it shouldn't be just a job,
Hello,
you
because you
know,
spend too many
because
hours on there.
you're going to spend so much time doing this thing out of your day, and we don't even recognize it. It's a good portion of our day is given to this job or
Oh,
career.
that's
And
right.
if we don't enjoy it, man, we're going to be grinding for a long time. And where they talk about retirement is coming up on 70 years, man, it doesn't leave much time to this thing, to this journey here.
That's right.
And so, and so that's what we try to do in a holistic way, give you the tools necessary and the resources so that if if it's something that you need, we're going to show you and put you in the right direction so you can get it. But we're going to give you tips, we're going to give you education, we're going to do all those things so that you can be on the journey that can bring you fulfillment.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So how can our audience connect with you?
Hey, you can go to clearjourney.org. You can learn more about us at the website, or if you want to reach out to me, you can just hit me at info@clearjourney.org, or I'm on all the social media at clearjourney.org, or you could reach me at Juan Lee, the author. I'm out there at that also, because again, anything that you do, and right currently we are in a financial window where we're talking about finances, and that's what we do on our podcast called It's Life Live right now. We're talking about finances, and we've been doing that the whole year so far. We have a webinar that's coming up in April. If you want, we're going to be putting information out about that so that you can register for that. It's going to be about how to protect your finances, because everybody's about trying to get the bag. And how do you keep it and protect it,
Hello.
especially on this internet, or this virtual stage here.
Yes.
People are being hacked. They're being this fraudulent. Everything's out here. They're trying to take
Mhm.
your bag from you any kind of way they can. So we're going to be having some people, financial advisors, and we're going to have some people, cybersecurity, and some custom, and basically people that in um, that know how to protect you as a consumer,
Yeah.
consumer protection. So that's coming up in April the 20th.
Okay.
Um, and so all of these things are all about giving you tools and resources so that you can navigate this thing a
I
whole lot
love
better.
that. And that's a need. Like all those areas you mentioned are needs, but finances most importantly.
It's the thread that goes through every one of those other areas, because if you have dreams, desires, goals, your finances, the better you're able to handle your finances, the better you are at being able to reach your goals, because every one of them has some kind of finances attached to them.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I love that. And I love that our audience is definitely going to continue to connect with you at clearjourney.org. So make sure you send us that flyer and all the information so we can put that out to our audience. So that's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely will.
Do you have any lasting words of empowerment you would love to leave for our audience today?
Hey, I tell you, if you can gain the power of the attitudes of love, okay, understand that love is the answer. If we can learn these attitudes, we can put these attitudes and it will remove that selfishness from you so that you can
Yes.
be able to navigate this life in a more, and I'm talking about, and have the peace that you want. So you can get the bag, but when you get it, do you have the peace?
Yes.
Do you have that contentment that you can rest in, knowing that you've done it, you've accomplished it, and that all your needs are met? And when we can realize that my needs are not someone else's needs, and only I have to meet that ability that I can do, what I can do, So that's what it is. Just understand that we're unique. Every one of us is unique. You're important, and what you have is sufficient.
Yes, I love that. And, just to piggyback off of what you just said, that's how we always wonder, like, how are those who make, or in our eyes, it seems like they make all this money, but they're committing suicide or doing these different things, but because they're missing their peace. They don't have their peace. And so many people would say they'd rather have their peace than have money.
Well, see, that's the whole point. I think we can we
We
can
can have
we
both.
can we can have both, but there's a way to do it.
That's right.
And it's not measured by anyone else's success.
That's
It's
right.
based on what your needs are, what it is that you need. I remember telling my wife when we first got married, I said, you know what? If it means that we got to live on a cardboard box, we're going to have peace.
Yes.
We ain't had to live on the cardboard box, but we've been after peace the whole time.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. We're so glad to have you as a special guest on our show. It has been amazing. And audience, those of you who are listening, make sure you go to clearjourney.org and you connect with Mr. Lee. And again, thank you so much for being on our show today and Empower You Crown Up.